All right, so Khaazin's Rise version 1.0. Actually, at this time, version 1.0, I gave it the name of Delve Deeper. As we go through this process, I'll talk about changing the names and at what stage I did that and why I did that. But yeah, the first name I gave it was Delve Deeper, and the theme was dwarves mining in a mountain in competition to get the most valuable goods out of the mountain. I decided this theme, I first started with the idea of mining and digging, but didn't feel like that was specific enough for me to really create a thematic experience, or it just needed to be more detailed to actually emphasize like what type of mining. And I didn't particularly like the theme of like a modern mining with machines and mine shafts and dynamite and the kind of modern era or real world mining. That just didn't really intrigue me or interest me, but I thought about like fantasy dwarves and their constant search for digging in the mountains, their constant search for gold, and their home that they find in the mountains and in a lot of different fantasy and fairy tale stories. Digging for riches and gold and always digging deeper and deeper. And so that kind of provided a thematic motivation and also put on a theme that I feel like is interesting enough that enough people would be interested in buying a game that's in that theme, where I feel like modern mining might be a little more niche. I could be wrong, but that was kind of the assumption I made, and I think that's makes sense. So that's kind of the theme, the name, and how it started. And then structurally, like I immediately started with a 9x9 grid of tiles, which is how it still is. I felt like that was a manageable number of columns to dig in, but it didn't take up too much table space, and also would create enough options where you have some interesting decisions to make of, oh, which one do I dig in? How far do I dig? And that kind of a decision. Because it was manageable, I thought it would have good table presence, without taking up too much space. And hopefully I would be able to create some interesting moments to happen as you kind of explore these stacks of tiles. In version 1.0, there were 4 tiers of tiles, 4 different levels as you got deeper. And then each tier had 6 tiles. For each stack, there was 6 tiles for each tier. So hope that makes sense. There's a 9x9 grid. I'll show you what my original notebook actually looks like. Had that right there. Just a little 9x9 grid. And then each of those stacks would have 6 level 1, 6 level 2, 6 level 3, and 6 level 4 tiles. So that's 54 tiles per level, spread out across the 9 stacks. I felt like that would be enough to give you a time to explore and find things, but also not take too long. The very basic rules started with, on your turn, you would dig or excavate up to 3 times max, unless you ran into a monster that would stop you and end your turn. Originally, I was trying to decide how I wanted the end to trigger, and the first thing as I was thinking was either you find the ultimate treasure, or you find an ultimate peril, an ultimate danger. And in the first version, I started with an ultimate peril. I thought that was more on point with the theme, and because I wanted a push your luck element to the game, wanted to see how far you can get without running into something. It felt like a danger that you're trying to avoid or that you were going to come across was a more fitting way to do that and accomplish that goal. I wasn't sure how much of luck or pushing your luck I wanted to put in there, but that was definitely part of it, and kind of directed the decision as far as having one of the game ending triggers be finding a peril or the ultimate peril. yeah, I took some time and just kind of made up what's going to be in each tier, everything from dirt to just different minerals and some gems, just kind of your typical mining, copper, gold, bronze, all were kind of in my head, and sapphires and emeralds, just the very generic stuff that are found in mining themes. Kind of just somewhat arbitrarily picked the quantities. The values I did compare to real world values and tried to create a tiered system that it actually made sense of as far as what was worth more. It didn't quite match perfectly, but I think it worked out okay for the first version. I added some monsters as those elements of things you wanted to avoid or reasons you would potentially not dig 3 times. You only dig once because you got a great card and then you stop, because you didn't want to risk running into a monster. I also had pickaxe leveling, where you'd have to get the right equipment in order to excavate in the next tier. That's still in the game today, but then it was level 1. Everyone started with level 1, and then you could upgrade to level 2, 3, or 4 pickaxes to keep digging down further. In order to kind of justify the 3 tile turn limit per turn limit, I was thinking about bags and bag capacity, so that you could only dig 3 times because your bag would get full with those 3 tiles. And so I also provided purchase upgrade options to upgrade your bag so that you could instead bring 4 tiles or 5 tiles was the max. And then I also added in mercenaries to purchase in order to fight the monsters. And kind of in summary, that was version 1. And as you can see, I just had it in this little notebook here. Kind of made some quick notes about what it was. This was my first version of the different materials and what they were worth and how many were in each tier. Just kind of random notes like that. A few thematic themes. Also, a sketch of player mats. I am no artist, and so there we go. Just kind of me drawing on a very basic idea, and this is kind of what I conceptualized on the notebook before I did any sort of prototyping or anything. So anyways, that's what version 1.0 looked like. In the next video, I'll actually pull out the prototype from version 1 because I still have the remnants from that. I think that'd be pretty cool to see and share. So anyways, I will catch you in the next one.